Starting off by exploring the forest, the creepy forest, we jump into these two enemies here, one of them charging a skill, the little wraith thing. So go ahead and work on taking that skill out as quick as possible with Zalair and Veil. Very nice stuff. Then we got this new type enemy that looks like a tree trunk or a bottom of the tree root even. And he's got this splash ability, which is kind of hard to dodge, but we end up finishing one of the enemies pretty easily in one turn. Then this big enemy takes a big hit from Zale into the Moonerang from Valir and finish off by Gal. Pretty easy fight overall. We end up continuing forward and searching around this bridge-like area for a bit, but we don't find anything, unfortunately. After checking this map, which gives us a few directions, we come across these vines here that are blocking our path, and Zale says that we should find their source. So we go and do just that, end up running around for a little bit and finding this vine plant, which takes us into this fight. As always, we start working on the skill that is currently charging. So we get Zale in there with a couple of attacks, but we don't have anyone else with the blade icon that can actually cancel it. This vine plant does a single target attack like this onto Gal. But from here, we know this guy's gonna group heal, so we try and do as little damage as possible or spend as little MP as possible. There's the heal, and from here we can kind of focus down one target after healing up Gal with his ability. Next time we start off with a boomerang, considering this enemy was charging, and we cancel its skill with Zale. Very nice stuff. With all the damage it took, we're able to finish it off with Gal, which means that we only have 2 enemies left. Fight's not looking too bad. Gal takes another couple of hits, but then we end up using him again in the next turn to take out the woodland spirit on the right, which is the wraith thing. Well, I found the name finally. But then yeah, after that the fight's pretty easy, only 1 enemy left. We use a mending light to heal the whole party with the combo meter, which is great, and then we simply just finish off this last vine creature. This then seems to remove the vines. You can see the trail kind of leaving and it clears up the path, so we can go ahead and take that path now. Heading up the path, we don't end up finding too much, just a couple of berries that we can collect, but yeah, not really too eventful as we lead on here until we get to these group of enemies. We use this cool little trick to pull this enemy back and it turns around so we can get that preemptive strike, which is kind of nice. This fight does look a little scary to begin with, but we focus on cancelling the skill of one of these Lonzons, which are these zombie creatures, learning the names of the enemies finally, and then we take a little bit of damage on the team. We end up using Gal to finish off one of the zombies, which is really good. In the next turn, this guy has the green looking skill thing, so it looks like maybe we're going to get like a poison like ability or a new character that has poison like abilities, but we use a Moonerang to get them kind of low. Valir gets dangerously low HP, but we continue to focus the one zombie and use our combo meter to heal up the entire party with Mending Light. We then end up finishing the zombie out with Valir, which is pretty nice, leaving this one tree stump looking guy on his own. A couple of basic attacks into a super charged up Gal attack ends the fight very nicely. We also note that there's more vines at the top, so we're going to have to find the group of enemies that we need to take out for the vines, and they're not too far away just here, so let's go ahead and deal with them right now. We work on disabling the skill charge as always, but Zale actually gets dangerously low. In the next turn, we're able to heal him up with Gal, so he's not looking too bruised anymore. Then we follow up with a nice Moonerang from Valir. We actually get a ton of damage out here. Nice, that's 1 enemy down. Zale can follow up and hitting this wraith looking enemy to cancel the skill, and following up with Gal on him as well means that he goes down, so there's only 1 enemy left, which is looking really good for us. The fight basically ends in a situation where we use Mending Light to heal the party and finish him off with Gal. Nothing else to really explain here. The vines end up removing themselves, which is great, so we can continue forward, find this log-like area where we can pick up a couple of herbs and continue on forward to find this next group of enemies. It's the same kind of fights you guys have seen before, so we'll go ahead and skip this one with us finishing off this last log enemy with Gal and the team looking like they're in pretty good condition overall. We then find the secret room on the left that contains a chest where you have these 2 tree stump looking enemies, which is not so good. They're super beefy and tanky, so we open up with a really nice Moonerang first of all. This Moonerang does really nice damage, dropping them both to 50% HP. From there we can start working on one of them using Zale and Gal to end up taking out the one on the right. From here, the fight is pretty easy with only one of them being alive, so a few basic attacks ends up taking him out pretty nicely. We can then go and collect our rainbow conch that's in the chest, because these chests only have rainbow conches. There we go, and then we can continue on the path. We end up finding a nice campfire here, so we can go ahead and reset all of our HP and MP, which is kind of nice. Pressing forward, we end up seeing some more vines that are blocking the path, so we head to the right side, try and find the enemies that are blocking the path and take them out. So it looks like there's 4 enemies here, and this looks kind of scary, to be completely honest. We start working on the skill charging as always, and then we go for a nice Moonerang even with Valir after Zale takes a little bit of damage. Moonerang unfortunately though doesn't end up being super good because the position is really awkward when you have this many enemies and we can't really time it very well, so we don't get that much damage. Next turn Valir takes a significant amount of damage and then they end up healing, so kind of back to square one. We use Gal to try and focus one of them, but I know this is not going to look so good. We end up using Zero to attempt to take out one of the enemies, but we misclick and click the top woodland spirit instead of the bottom one that's already low. So now they're all still alive, but Valir takes a significant amount of damage, and right now they're all going to attack next turn. This looks pretty scary. We end up healing Valir, making sure that she's topped up with HP, but this is where the enemies all attack in their turn. One of them focuses Valir, the zombie monster uses a chomp chomp ability on Zale and one-shots him. We didn't end up blocking it unfortunately, that's insane. And now it's looking from bad to worse. On the bright side, we do end up taking down one of the enemies finally with Valir. There we go, nice stuff. We do end up using Gal's Hurl ability here, which turns out to be a good play because we then combo this with Valir's Crescent Arc. Managed to do damage to all 3 enemies and kill one of them, as well as knocking out 2 of the skill charges out of 4 anyway, which is really good. Zale then comes back next turn, so we're in a much better spot now, and we immediately just go crazy. We put the sunball onto them. We're like, we need to get out this fight and take them out as quick as possible. That sunball did insane damage, comboed with a Valir. Basic attack is really good to be able to finish off the fight. Our party is super low, but we do find a chest here, which is nice, which contains bone armor. So we go back to the campsite quickly, make sure we all heal up. Then we have to take a look at the bone armor and equip it on Zale, because I think the extra defense is going to be nice instead of the magic defense. And then from here, we can go back over to the vines, but we realize that they're still there, so we have to sort out some of the enemies on the left side. Ends up taking a little while to get there. There's a lot of terrain we're gonna have to traverse and a lot of the area we have to cover, but we do end up finding this enemy in the end, and it seems to be 4 enemies this time, with 2 of the zombies, the tree stump guy, and the seed thingy that spits out its little seeds. This fight does not look good, but we do open up by taking out the skills again as normal. In hindsight, looking at this, I probably should have just gone crazy with the skills, using Sunball, using Moonerang, and just kind of killing them as soon as. I end up finding another great opportunity to use Crescent Arc, hitting 3 of the enemies and cancelling one of the zombies' skills, which is huge, so that doesn't get a ton of damage off. Zale drops low again, but we do heat him up with Gal, and the fight's looking a lot better than the last one that we had. In this case as well, like I was saying earlier, we should use Sunball in the beginning, but we use it now, does insane damage to the zombies, they're vulnerable to it, finish off the last one with Valir, and now the fight's looking much easier from this position. We're able to focus the tree stumpy guy, get a big hit off with Gal, charging him up to max, getting 50 damage, it's really good damage. Then we get the combo meter filled up to 2 bars, so we use Mending Light to make sure the party's healed. And then from here, we just take out the last enemy pretty easily. This ends up clearing up the vines, so we can advance forward, but before we go, we do find a chest containing an obsidian ore, which we can obviously sell for some money, and we find this secret little cave-like place. So we go ahead and open up the door, find another chest here. At first I'm a little bit scared in case there's a surprise, but we get a shimmering shard item. This increases the damage dealt to the undead by 15%, and we equip that to Zale. One last stop by the campfire to make sure we're all healed up. Then we can finally use the path in the center now that we've cleared the vines. So we end up finding the guy that was taken, and the team rush in to try and help him out as soon as possible. That's kind of creepy. He gets taken, the gate opens, and he seems to be lost forever. The team believe they've all failed. It's unfortunately upsetting. The dwellers are way too strong, and we can't even go in just yet until we get the eclipse. The team agree that we'll just come back then, so we start heading off. We hear the chant of the dweller go off again, and it sounds very eerie. This is not good. The dweller is after Gal. So that whole sequence was crazy. There's a weird kind of assassin that comes in through a portal and saves Gal. They also tell us that we can find a soul stone to kind of help him, but fortunately he doesn't get taken away. She then joins the party and tells us like, hey, we can get a soul stone from this place. So we end up following that path, but a crazy turn of events. Gal's in danger, we need to save him, and off we go. We take a look at the assassin's kit very quickly. They have a few items already equipped and a bangle that allows them to do extra damage if you get the timing right, which is kind of nice. But more importantly, we need to try out the skills and how she works in battle. So get into our first fight here against 3 different enemies. Taking a look at the skills, you can see the first one is Venom Flurry, which throws darts, that hits all enemies. Then you get Disorient, which actually delays a turn of an enemy, and then Phase Shift, which does damage to one single enemy. So interesting stuff. We'll try that out later, but we use Zale to start off by cancelling the skill of one enemy. Probably should use Valir here to cancel the skill with Moonrang or something, but we try out Venom Flurry. Why not? Let's try one of the new abilities. And as she throws the daggers, it looks like we get a lot of damage out, I guess, but there's only 3 daggers. It wasn't really that strong. I think I'm missing a mechanic here. Either way, the enemy group heals and we try and do what we can with Valir here. In the next turn, the enemy on the right is super low, one in the Woodland Spirit, so we go ahead and finish him off with Zale. Then we try out the new Assassin auto attack. Looks kind of cool. We get the timing right as well, which is nice, do some decent damage. Then we get the serious stuff out and hit a really good Moonrang. Definitely one of our best for a while. After that, we get a couple of hits in. Unfortunately, we don't have enough for the combo meter to use Mending Light before the fight ends, but we get the kill and we get a nice level up for the team. Starting with Zale, we end up giving him some extra hit points just to make sure he doesn't go down too easily in fights. Then we go and choose Gal's kit. Although he's not with us, we do give him some physical attack. Then we got the Mystery Assassin. We don't know what to give her for the meantime, so health points are just kind of the standard for the meantime, I guess, until we know more. And then Valir, we make her a little bit more tanky with some physical defense. Nice stuff. As we continue on now, we can go ahead and head back to the village, or I guess go to the Soulstone location. We end up running into this next group of enemies here, a Woodland Spirit and 2 of the Tree Stump guys. So we take out the skill as normal on the Woodland Spirit, making sure that he can't heal, which is kind of nice. We then use Disorient, which is the ability from this Assassin, which delays the turn and increases the turn to 3. We heal up Valir because she's kind of low, but our healing is heavily reduced in this team with the Assassin being here instead of Gal. Zale also gets dangerously low here, so we set up a nice Moonrang to do some damage. I managed to take out the Woodland Spirit and do some nice damage to the rest of them. Fortunately, this enemy doesn't target Zale, so he doesn't go down. And the next time we can look to hopefully take out one of them. So we start focusing in one. We end up healing Zale a little bit as well to make sure he doesn't go down from the next hit. And unfortunately, we don't end up taking out either of them. This causes the Assassin to die here, which is not so good. And the next one is going to hit in the next turn. Fortunately, he does die to Zale in powered auto, which is good. Then the assassin comes back and we instantly use mending light to heal up the party. From here, we're probably going to have to start using potions and stuff to make sure the party are topped up in and outside of fights, considering our healing is heavily reduced. But following that, Zale's able to finish him off with a double charge and a basic attack, which is pretty good. We find ourselves having to go through another lake, probably quite dirty now from all the lakes we've been in. Pick up these mushrooms here and we encountered these two enemies. We're going to skip this fight. Fight was super quick, super easy, only two enemies as well, so not really too much to explain here, but yeah. We take out one, take out the second one, and we're good to go. We end up finding a few more berries and getting back to kind of the start of the forest where we save and come back into the game. So we actually come back with full MP here, which is kind of nice. And we get two more enemies, again, only two of them, pretty easy, pretty simple. The assassin takes most of the hits in the fight, so ends up being super low, but we end it with Valir, again, not a difficult fight at all. We end up healing the assassin when the fight ends, just to make sure she's topped up on HP, and then we continue our way outside of the forest. This actually ends up taking us all the way back to the village without us having to walk there, which is great. And the assassin lets us know that we need to go to Necromancer's lair, and there's a sister there called Romea, who is one of 3 sisters. So we got to go ahead and ask her for a soulstone. Not sure if she'll give it to us, but hey. And then we find out her name in the end, which is Sarai. So nice, we have a name now, which is pretty good. Shortly after the conversation, Valir also gets this new ability called Lunar Shield, which is pretty good. It ends up healing the party just a tiny bit and protecting everyone from a single hit. The assassin, Sarai, also tells us that we need to go to the east of the village, and there's a ferryman who will take us over there if we go and speak to him, so off we go. So we end up on the world map and have to go speak to this ferryman, which we'll get into in the next episode. See you guys then.